Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. This is The World This Week, and with us is Christopher Dickey of Newsweek and The Daily Beast, Ed Cody of The Washington Post, France 24's Marjorie Paillon, and also with us Charles Onyango-Obo, who's the digital media editor for The Nation Group, which includes Kenya's largest selling newspaper, The Nation. Yeah. Welcome back. 9 weeks to go until Election Day in this country, and the incumbent has thrown his hat into the ring. Nicolas Sarkozy officially announcing that he's seeking a second term, and it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. His announcement barely narrowing the gap in the first round with socialist rival François Hollande. He still trails him by 5 points according to a poll that you see there. That's the latest poll that was taken just after Sarkozy made that announcement. Notice that the far-right candidate, Marine Le Pen, in third place on 15%, and the centrist candidate, François Bayrou, on 13%. For the second round, that 5-point margin balloons to 12, with François Hollande there with a comfortable margin there for the socialists. Now, to stage a comeback, Sarkozy's got the option between courting the centrists and the far right. Which one will he target? Well, let's take a look at his official campaign poster, which is called La France Forte, a strong France. There you see it. By the way, we've heard rumors that the C behind there, Marjorie's nodding her head,
was taken in Greece, actually, so that's the beauty of it. You know, he's running again for being French president, and the C standing.
And in Greece.
Yeah, and in Greece too. So, yeah, you know, now there we go. We have, I mean, the show is just settled. We have the candidates, we have a president running for re-election, and we can finally talk about this. And this is a great liberation in the majority party to be able to have a candidate that is going to stand for his party, that is going to stand for his re-election campaign. The question is, when you just watch Sarkozy's announcement saying that he was finally, eventually running for re-election, you were able to catch the sense that Sarkozy, of the Sarkozy candidate from 5 years ago. The question is, those people, those French voters, want the Sarkozy from 5 years ago? I'm not really sure about that. And that's the very ghost Sarkozy will have to fight against until May.
All right, for viewers who don't follow French politics closely, is it the same Sarkozy as 5 years ago? His first 2 campaign promises, referendums, one targeting the unemployed who don't job hunt, the other to make it easier to expel illegal immigrants. And again, this recurring theme.
French people need to understand that if France is strong, they will be protected.
A strong France, Ed Cody.
Well, I'm for that, aren't we all? Yeah, I think there is a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde act going on in Sarkozy's head and
so
in
he's not
camp.
just tacking right.
He's tacking right, and he's tacking to the center as well. For example, you can read his close relationship with Angela Merkel and taking it to the extent of having a joint news conference with her. You can take that and interpret it as a desire to show everybody, A, that he hobnobs with the world's great people, but B, also that he is a dedicated European, which is something the centrists, by and large, are. So you can read that as an appeal to the centrists.
All right, and Sarkozy's popularity at record lows, part of it down to policy, part of it to personality. And aides promised a more genteel, regalian leader. But at his first campaign rally, well, he was still his old feisty self.
If one were to tell the British media that he was economically liberal, and then turn around and tell the French that finance is our enemy, he's lying. He's lying from morning through to night. Such a lie would only serve to damage his image.
First campaign rally, he brands his rival a liar. Would that exist in the U.S. like that?
Not quite like that, but I mean, it is so typically Sarkozy, and it is at the heart of the problem for Sarkozy. I mean, the cliche about him is it's not what he does, it's who he is that the French can't stand. That's why his ratings are so low. I mean, they look at this, and they don't see a president. They see a gangster. They see Joe Pesci. I mean, they see a punk who's calling his rival a liar and trying to be a tough guy. And it's hard to be a tough guy if you're that short. It's just an image that's devastating for him, and he can't get over it. That's why he does great things. I personally, let me say, if I could vote in France, I would vote for Sarkozy. I think he's been handed a very tough term. I think he's done as good a job as probably could be done, and I have no idea what Hollande stands for. All Hollande has to stand for is that he's not Sarkozy.
All right, Charles, you've waded into this barroom brawl.
Well, the thing is that, from Africa, there's a very interesting view of Sarkozy. I mean, there are mixed attitudes about France's role in Libya and Cote d'Ivoire. But in East Africa, he's really done his relationship with Rwanda. He really surprised everybody, and I talked to the Rwanda leadership.
By reconciling.
Yes, and they say, well, Sarkozy is a good guy. He's very pragmatic. He goes to Rwanda because that was a very big concern in the region. Because Rwanda was the only country that seemed to be caught in this confrontation with a big power, and it was a destabilizing factor. And honestly, they like him, and a strong guy. There's a constituency week.
All right, he's got the Kenyan vote at least.
And the American vote.
And the American vote. A final word on this. It's thanks to cartoonist Peter Schrank of The Economist, sort of what Ed Cody was referring to a little while ago, reminding readers that the German chancellor's pledged to campaign for Sarkozy. Is that a smart move, Marjorie?
Well, that Merkel is campaigning for Sarkozy.
Yeah.
I don't really see the impact on the French voters, basically because, and this is a country where you got people over 60 years old still voting, hopefully for them, but they still have this image from Germany that is just so strong that I'm not sure it can help Sarkozy for his re-election campaign. But let's get back to his liar sentence. Those kind of meetings are a typical issue for campaigners because at the same time you have to address your supporters, eat up the base, and at the same time also talk to the potential voters you can have. So he really wanted to target the supporters, and he has another meeting in Marseille. It's going to be on Sunday. Let's see what he's going to do there in Marseille.
All right, if he'll come out slugging once again. Let's turn to the United States, where it's funny because it's still a rite of passage over in China. The heir apparent to the top job goes to the U.S. for, I guess, the political equivalent of a debutante's ball, formally introduced into Western society. On his 4-day tour, Xi Jinping visiting most notably the port of Los Angeles, entry point for more than a third of Chinese goods into America. He was at the White House, a chance to show how deep ties have become between the two nations, also to highlight the biggest sticking point, which is a mammoth trade imbalance. But it's not just a debutante's ball. For this man, it's also a homecoming. Xi returning to Muscatine, Iowa, a town he visited as a young Communist Party cadre in 1985.
And we are so glad to see you in such a harmonious family. And this is away from the sound and fury of the cities. And the air here is very fresh.
We watch China very closely and see what the needs possibly could be from China. Very important market. Very important that we continue to build relationships and be partners with China.
Ed Cody, who is Xi Jinping?
He is a party official, a party functionary. He's a princeling, that is to say his father was a very prominent leader in the revolution under Mao Zedong and was disgraced, like so many of them were, but came back and went back, was disgraced again. He has, from the beginning, been destined to be, if not a great leader, at least a leader of the Communist Party. He did the usual engineering studies in Beijing and then started up the ranks of the party. One interesting thing about him is he's married to a very, very popular singer who's always the one who performs whenever there's a big party function, and they need a singer. She comes along and sings the popular songs that the party cadres like to have.
So he's let's get this right. He's got a bit of glitz around him. He likes the West. This is radically different from Hu Jintao, isn't it?
He likes the West as much as his predecessors did because that's where they sell all their stuff. I don't think he separates out at all from the line of leaders we've had since after Deng Xiaoping. We've had, and this current leader, Hu Jintao, is a perfect example of it. It's a man who never made a mistake. He moved up the bureaucracy without ever making a mistake. And that's the same thing we have here with Xi Jinping, except that he has this aura of a princeling, which gives him a little bit of an aura. He has his singer wife.
But he sticks to script.
Oh, definitely. You don't get where he is without sticking to exactly to the script. Otherwise, you're gone. Or, I'll give you one little example that's something interesting about him. When he was rolled out for the world to see as the heir apparent, he had a dark suit on like you do and white socks.
Charles, has we've talked so much about the Chinese presence in Africa. Has the perception of the Chinese evolved as much here in Kenya as it has here in France over the past 5-10 years?
Well, you know, I mean, when I travel over Africa, it's just stunning. The Chinese presence is inescapable. And they're kind of doing the nice things, you know, the things that get the good headlines, that get the nice conversations, you know, all the stadia, all the, you know, the big roads. They're doing incredible stuff in Kenya. So I think that they're on a good run now. For the next couple of years, I think they'll be on the roll. But really the impressive thing about China, if you take a global view, their ability to be so active in different spaces at the same time. And they're not distracted. I mean, you know, in many ways, when you deal with the Americans and the Europeans, you get the sense they are distracted. But the Chinese are not. They're just capable of working globally and being very focused. And that's impressive.
Christopher Dickey, how to handle Xi Jinping has become a campaign issue in the U.S.
Sure, because it's easy for the Republicans to say that the Chinese are the root of all evil and they're going to be a big problem, and basically to suggest that there's a looming confrontation, whereas the actual president of the United States has to find a way to work with the Chinese and sustain trade while at the same time not making America too vulnerable, either in terms of the economy or eventually militarily.
Marjorie Payon, Barack Obama, when he took office, said he would turn his attention east. Has he done so as much as you thought he would?
Well, I actually just remember, I'm just jumping to the midterms back in November 2010. Just remember that at the time, when you wanted to have your opponents just losing the election, you just had to portray him as Mao Zedong, and it was done. So the question of where is this China encounter will be a problem for Obama is going to be developed in the next few weeks, and we're going to see if it's basically something that's going to draw the attention of Republican voters against Obama, or if the Democratic voters will still, agree with the president. But the thing which is really sure that is, Obama is just trying to prepare the future and his future mandate, basically, by, welcoming the future new president of China.
All right. And as we record this program on Friday, there was talk that China's next president may take in a basketball game. It would be in Los Angeles, which is a shame. The Lakers scheduled to play Phoenix and not the New York Knicks. Now, since injuries put a young journeyman point guard into the starting lineup, New York has won 7 in a row. He's broken all sorts of records. The city, the nation, the entire planet, riveted by the exploits of Harvard-educated Jeremy Lin, born in the Silicon Valley, of Taiwanese origins, and who has fans in the grips of Lin sanity.
When we go to the Garden and we play and the fans are out, come out in full force, that makes everyone excited, and we feed off their energy, and it's awesome to play in the Garden right now.
It's crazy. Everywhere you go is Lin. I'm actually enjoying it. My son, told me tell Lin what's up?
Ed Cody, this is an amazing story that everybody is suddenly.
It's a great story. It's a great story. Chinese are supposed to sit behind their computers with big, thick Coke bottle glasses and not move or get A's at Harvard. And here you have this man running around being a great basketball player. It's fantastic.
And goes to Harvard.
And goes to Harvard. That's right, yes.
On that point, ESPN this week, writing on its website, Harvard, a place that has produced more presidents, 8, than NBA players, 4. Without his will and effort, the poor kid probably would be stuck running Goldman Sachs by now. It is part of the allure of this story.
Well, it is, and it's coming. There is a kind of interface, as you suggested, with the political campaign, because especially on the Republican side. The Republicans who are voting, there was a very good piece in the New York Times today, the Republicans who are voting and who are involved in these primaries and all this debate, I mean the voters, are overwhelmingly white, conservative, older, and there is a lot of latent racism in the Republican side of this campaign already. A lot of xenophobia, a certain amount of Islamophobia. So when you have China as a big problem for the United States, and suddenly the biggest sports hero in the United States is a Chinese American, it tends to just diffuse all that. The two things are not really related, but in the emotions of American politics, it somehow one thing plays on the other.
So if he keeps sinking 3-point field goals, Obama gets reelected?
Well,
It'll
actually, actually, Jeremy Lin drew Obama's intention. I think that on that point of view, they're really similar in the fact that Jeremy Lin basically come out of nowhere. Of course, he's an Ivy League graduate, as Barack Obama did, but they're both people who came out from nowhere and just are making the story right now. And I think that just America need that kind of stories. It just reminds me of the Chrysler ad with Clint Eastwood. It's halftime America. Well, yes, it's halftime America, and those voters, those people, they just need those kind of stories to just get a break.
All right, and Charles, is Kenya in the grips of Linsanity?
No. I follow him. There was, I was watching one of the sports programs, and they were saying that actually, when he shot to fame, he was still living in his brother's house and sleeping on the couch. I mean, it was just incredible. I couldn't believe that.
All right, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank you very much for joining us, Charles Onyango, Obo, Ed Cody, Marjorie Payon, and Christopher Dickey. Thank you for being with us for The World This Week.